everyone. It is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside the Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help wind down your weekend with all the latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you excited about way more books than you need to add to your pull list, but hopefully you run to your local comic shop and do just that after the show is over. Now, before we talk about the monstrous pile of comics that we're going to go through, in order to wind down our weekend, we obviously need wine to do so. And today, we are drinking Spyland, which I don't even know what that is. What is Spyland? It looks like it's got a lot of pepper and vanilla and early plum. What kind of wine is it, Matt?
It's a red blend.
It's a red blend? Is it like a French red blend? It's a Portuguese red blend. Uh-huh. Okay, awesome. We chose this because of one of the books tonight. You'll see when we get there, but it had this really cool label that really matched with our books. And is this supposed to be something that, like, based on our flavors, like, matches? Yes. I was like, they can't see you.
It's dry red wine.
It's dry red wine, and pepper, vanilla, plum flavors, dark fruits, and silky finish of jam, nutmeg, and mocha. It's a lot in that blend.
And if you turn the bottle, his eyes will shine. Yeah.
Oh, what? I didn't even know that. That's cool. Boop, boop, boop,
Cool.
boop, boop, boop. Okay. Well, we're gonna try it. You can kind of smell all of those things, like at one time. It does have a jamminess.
And a sweetness from the breadfruit.
Mm-hmm. But you can also kind of taste the nutmeg. I could taste the nutmeg. I don't know if you can taste the nutmeg. Yeah. I like it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good wine. And I do like that it's like a red blend to go with the crazy logo, which also, or label, which also goes with the book that we're going to compare it to, which I will definitely take a drink of when we get there, because the blend of all the weird flavors together totally works for that book. We're going to be drinking this all night, and I do mean all night, because holy crap, it's one of those times where we've got 2 weeks worth of books. Oh my gosh, which is the best way to show off how big it is? That way.
Looks great.
Whoa. Yes, there is. We did a poll online to see how many books this was. It's 77. So if you were playing along at home, 77 books that we had to read. So.
And you just skimmed them, right?
No, I read every single one of them cover to cover. And I read them all cover to cover today. So let's see how much I can remember. But no, every week on Wind Down Your Weekend, I actually read every single book. So you're not getting the solicit. You are getting my version of a synopsis of what the book is about. And so I'm going to go through all of those in just a second. Of course, if you don't know, we were gone last week because it was the annual Comics Retailer Convention, brought to you by Comics Pro, which is the only retail trade organization for comic stores. And so we had incredible experiences. Shout out to all the publishers and creators and everybody that came and just had an awesome time with us. And so if you want to know those stories, that is a whole nother episode of the show. So just come to the shop and ask me and Matt all about our Comics Pro experience. And I biasly have to say shout out to the board of directors for Comics Pro, because our team just worked so hard all week long, and I'm so honored and excited to be a part of it. This week at Bad City, we had a bunch of stuff that happened. We had an awesome creator meetup. If you didn't see the pictures, also go look on our Instagram and Facebook, because we absolutified the most random characters, which was tons of fun. So go see all of the creators' awesome creations. And we had Queer Book Club, which was awesome. If you haven't read Love Languages, please grab that graphic novel. It is so good and so beautifully done. Coming up, our March calendar has launched, and so we are having a ton of big events this month, as well as all of our regular ones. Do you have a copy of the thing so I can say we have the thing, or at least the flyer? This week we do have a bunch going on. This is, if you don't know, today is the start of Will Eisner Spirit Week, which is a week where we celebrate All of the greatness that is the concept of the graphic medium. And so there's several different things that are going on for that this week. One, if you didn't know, the nominations are open, so you can vote for your favorite comic store to be the Eisner winner of the, or at least the finalist. You can nominate your comic store to be in the running, is how I should say that, for the Spirit of Comics Retailer Award at the San Diego Comic-Con Eisners. We have that posted on some of our stuff. We're going to share it again tomorrow in response to, you know, as part of Will Eisner Spirit Week, but we'll be sharing that again. But it doesn't matter if Bat City's not your store and another store is. Please nominate your favorite store. If Bat City is your favorite store, but so is another store, and nominate them too. It's the spirit of comics. Let's celebrate comic stores and all that's great about them. We are also, I will be doing a Zoom call, like webinar tomorrow. If anybody wants to come join me, that link will be on our Facebook and in our Instagram story tomorrow at 4 p.m. because I will be talking about the importance of telling your story in the graphic medium and how nonfiction comics are created and the values behind them. And part of the reason why we're doing that is that this week we are launching a really, really cool thing. I'm going to start with, I guess I'll start with the thing. So we have had the honor of being asked to help Reflections of Manatee bring the story of the Angola community here in Bradenton to life in comic format. And so this week, this is going to be the launch of Book 4 in a 6-part series. No, you did not miss 1 through 3, but Book 4 is actually the piece of the story of this a group of enslaved people who made their way all throughout Florida and before residing in the Bahamas. And this is actually their time that they spent here in Bradenton in the 1800s. And you're going to get to see Manatee Mineral Springs back in that 1800s and the people who actually lived there and their experiences there. This book is available this Friday at the at a special party at the Reflections of Manatee Museum over off of 12th Street in the area of the in the Manatee Mineral Springs Park area. They are going to be having a little mini Comic-Con, so you'll be able to come out. So you're going to hear the story of the book from the descendants as well as those of us who worked on the book. You're going to get to hear, get to speak to the artists and see some of the upcoming art for some of the other books that are in it, as well as get to meet them. We're really honored to have not only our own Adrian Prudhomme on this book with us, but Ringling students on the other 5 books. They're going to be giving away copies of this first book that night, so it's from 5 to 7 p.m. this Friday at Reflections of Manatee. What's really cool is that it's also going to help kick off the Back to Angola Festival. If you are here in Bradenton and you've never been to that, it is such a huge, iconic piece of our own history for our community, but it's a huge piece of history in general for American culture. And so it's really cool to see the descendants of the Angola community come back and celebrate their family and how they are all part of the family of Bradenton as it is now. So please come out to that, support that, come to the event. It is not here at Bat City. In fact, Bat City is going to close on Friday at probably 4, so that we can be there for that event. So we will probably be closing around 4 p.m. this Friday for that event. And so we hope to see you at that kickoff for the festival and that Comic-Con, and then it's gonna be great.
Because all 3 of us worked on it.
All 3 of us worked on it, yes. I wrote the series. Matt is lettering the series and doing all of the cover and graphic design. And Katie got to be a part of creating the map that shows the travel journey that they made. So it is a Bat City collaboration with Reflections in all senses of the word. So we will be there. So don't come here that night. Go there. And yeah, there's so much more going on in March. So much more. Our Instagram calendar is up on Instagram. Our calendar is all throughout our Facebook. You can see all the different events information. So please start marking your calendars for some really big events. I'm going to take one more drink of Spyland before I get into this massive pile of books. Okay. All right, we are gonna try to breeze through these. So if there's something you are like, oh my god, like when you're watching this later, you want to know more about, shoot us a comment, leave a message. We'll definitely tell you more about the stories. So up first, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 34 from IDW. For those of you who are fans of the classic Ninja Turtles cartoon, this is your book, and we have been going on a massive adventure throughout as while each of the issues are kind of episodic in nature, it also has this big adventure running through it recently where the pantheon of like these evil beings have been working to take out the turtles, and the neutrinos have come because they're like, hey, bad stuff's going down. You need to stop these people. And so the turtles have been teaming up with them. As always, villains double-cross each other, and Krang hates to not be at the top of the list. And so he is going after Old Hob himself now, reprogramming his robot army and trying to use it to attack Hob himself so that he can take over and be the person in charge of the bad guys, which of course gives the turtles all the time they need to actually take out everything that's going on. But we do leave one of our turtles hanging in a little bit of danger at the end of this issue, and if you want to find out which one, you are going to have to read it yourself. Void Rivals, issue 27 from Image, Skybound, and our Energon universe. If you have not been reading Void Rivals, you may not know that this is the story of two warring planets who have always been told that they must stay at war with each other, because if they don't, like, the universe will essentially break, and they've been told that they are terribly different and nothing could ever bring them together. Well, they've come together now. I'm going to show you all these cool pictures. They've come together in different ways because they actually realize that that's not the truth when two pilots crash land on a planet together. But this is a part of our Energon universe, and one of the things that we haven't seen a lot of is Transformers and or a lot of G.I. Joe characters in there, but we are getting to see some of those, like those members of the Cobra Society, and the Pythons, like Pythona herself is in this issue, and so we're getting to see them kind of going after this Energon that seems to be the thing that both of these planets really thrive on, and in fact, like their entire livelihood is built on this Energon, and so they are probably going to come to play in a big way in this Energon universe as this war for their resources gets bigger and bigger with other groups coming after them, and these people are just now even learning what Energon is and how powerful it might be. We've got Thundercats, issue 24 from Dynamite. Again, if you are a fan of the classic TV show, this is one of those books that you're going to want to jump into. And we have recently seen, Lion-O come back from being missing, from being captured by Mum-Ra, and he is kind of figuring out like what his role is, because he did age up when he landed on Third Earth, and he's never really actually had this chance to rule. And in this, he's talking to the Book of Omens, and he's actually learning the true history of the Thundercats, which is that Thundara might not actually be their real home. And Lion-O is learning that the connections to all the people that he thought he had isn't exactly the same. The Book of Omens seems kind of shady in this. I don't really know if that's awesome or not, but we are definitely seeing that we are setting up a big story for the evil that's going to come from Mum-Ra, and I'm just going to show you, like, it's right there. We're going to see we've got a big story coming our way of our evil bad guy from the Thundercats world. But it's really cool to see that they did this issue in that storytelling, like that fantasy book kind of way, to showcase how they could set up, like, oh, you are reading a book, and it is kind of like the ancient story of the Thundercats, which really balanced nicely for the way they were telling the story. We've got Knights, issue 18 from Image Comics. I always say that this book is like if you made a Miyazaki film in America, because this does take place in an alternative Florida situation. And it kind of started out just the story of a girl who was a vampire who fell in love with this teenage boy whose cousin happens to possibly be like this big werewolf creature, and their roommate is a skeleton. And it seemed really just, a mixture of a hodgepodge world coming together. But over the last arc and a half, we've been really just diving into Grey the vampire's backstory and seeing exactly how she ended up a member of this secret society. And this issue was so emotionally impactful, which is really great because the last one was too, and it was impactful in Grey's sense and like what made Grey like lose her sacrifice and what was all the darkness that hit Grey really hard. This actually shows what happened to the person that's kind of always been her partner in that organization, and that also is the person who's been chasing her as far as we know. How did he get to where he is, and why did he come to have such a coldness towards Grey? We get all of that in this issue, which was, I think, possibly the best issue of this series so far. It was so good. We've got Power Fantasy, issue 16 from Image Comics. This is Kieran Gillen doing a story that's, like he does, where he takes something, a pantheon of beings, and kind of reimagines them. And in this case, it's basically, what if the X-Men were real and we had to actually deal with those ethics of superpowered beings kind of being at odds with each other? And so we do kind of mostly follow the idea of our ultimate good and our ultimate immorally gray person. And so we've been following as this group of heroes has been trying to figure out what to do with the fact that they're the guy that's always been essentially their Charles Xavier has always been like, well, I control the ethics of the powered people, but also the entire world, because I'm the only one who can see people's true intentions. And recently they killed that person, or at least they believe they do. And they are like, well, now what do we do now that we're self-governing? And to say things have fallen apart rather quickly is an understatement. And we are literally seeing like what could potentially be the end of the world. And I don't want to show you too much, but I will say Casper Wingard's art on this has just especially in this, as we see like hell literally coming to the surface, it's just absolutely fantastic. And it works so well for the story at large. We've got DuckTales, issue 11 from Dynamite in their Disney Comics imprint. Again, for those who love the classic cartoon, this is one you want to jump into, and very episodic. This is a great way, too, for kids who have been in love with the new DuckTales show to kind of find some fun. And this one is all about Scrooge and Huey, Dewey, and Louie going on an adventure in a very snowy place. And Scrooge is like, when I came here to prospect for gold, this is where I really made a lot of my original money and how I got it. And now I'm back to get more. And Huey, Dewey, and Louie are like, it's cold. It's dark. It's creepy. We don't want to be here. And Scrooge is like, you got to do what you got to do. And they find out, and I don't want to show you, but they find out, we'll just tease it. They find out that there's something dark and creepy in the woods that maybe Scrooge has gone head-to-head against before. And are they going to have to face off against whatever this mysterious thing is just for gold, which Huey, Dewey, and Louie don't care about? We'll find out. Exquisite Corpses, issue 10 from Image Comics and the Tiny Onion publication house. This is such a fun way to do a battle royale. This is essentially, there are 13 families that have always run America and kind of determined everything that would happen in it. And every time they want to switch the power between those families, what they do is they take over a small town that they feel nobody would miss. And they choose 13 different champions and drop them in this town, completely unaware of the fact that, for the people being unaware of the situation. And they block off the town so that nobody can get in or out completely. And they have this battle to the end. And whoever's champion wins becomes the champion, or becomes the family that is in charge of America behind the scenes. And so we have been going on for 10 issues now, and we have seen champion after champion fall. And now that we're kind of getting to that fearsome four kind of area where there's not too many left, we are seeing not only the game and the rules change and who's actually going to be manipulating the players and everything in it, but we're also seeing people in the town finally starting to fight back, which may mean that the town is compromised and something completely different is going to happen. But who knows? I never like to show too much of this book because every issue is filled with spoilers of how the game is moving forward. But I will say that, like James Tynion has said, there is so much more to come to the Exquisite Corpses universe. So get invested now, because it's gonna keep blowing up. All right, we've got Hyde Street, issue 10 from Image Comics and your Ghost Machine universe. And this is why I had to bring the Spyland, because it looks like Mr. X-Ray on the cup and on the label. And I want to see if I can also have to find a good picture of them so you can put them together in a second. But if you don't know Hyde Street, basically the world of Hyde Street is a place where people who are terrible people, essentially, and are taking advantage of people in the world, find themselves suddenly on this street having to deal with their own sins. And the way they have to deal with that is that they basically have to collect 10,000 souls for the soul collector. And if they do, they're able to earn their way out of this experience. Each issue usually introduces us to a new character that kind of pushes us forward in the story a little bit at the same time. And in this issue, we actually get to learn about sisterhood. And sisterhood is mentioned in the book Sisterhood, which is one word, but this is two words, because this is about two sisters who had the last name of Hood, who worked kind of scamming people through the art of like tarot and palm reading and you know, future telling. And one sister was the ultimate good and wanted to help, and the other one was actually just kind of scamming for money. And they find themselves both on Hyde Street back in the 1920s. And now, as we come to the now, where everything is becoming a mess on Hyde Street, we have our sisterhood who is still there trying to deal with what's going to happen. And I don't actually think there's a good picture of Mr. X-Ray in this issue, even though we brought the wine for him. But if you have not read Hyde Street and you like that kind of creepy, like kind of just like a little bit of like action that moves forward. Honestly, this is the slowest moving Ghost Machine book, and I think that might be why it's my favorite. One of my favorites for sure. But it's such a good story of just, you know, getting your comeuppance for the things that you did. And we don't even know what is happening yet. Like, we don't know what this mysterious entity that's like trying to destroy Hyde Street actually is, and I cannot wait for us to find out. We've got Catacomb of Torment issue 8 from Oni Press and their EC comic imprint. This was such a good anthology this week. This is always, you know, some trials of torture and pain. And the first story in here is actually from Paul Tobin, who we love for Bunny Mask. This is about a woman who just wants to paint miniatures. That's her job. She doesn't want to go on dates. She doesn't want to have to have relationships with people in the outside world. And her sister is constantly trying to force her into just that. And she decides that she's going to take actions into her own hands at some point. And the way she does it, and the little, you know, comeuppance that we see, as we always do in the AC books, is just fantastic. It's a little bit longer of a story too for an EC anthology, and I absolutely love it. And then we have a second story that's all about an Uber driver who it picks up this wheel, and it's kind of the Wheel of Fortune, and it's supposed to help him. He's supposed to just deliver it, and he's so worried about his score and it falling down that he makes some really bad choices that definitely leave him in a world of mess. And then the last story is called Troll Hunter, and it is all about some incels on the internet who are just picking on people and constantly being trolls, and the people who work to get those people to actually experience the things that they deserve. Really great issue. A lot of times when it's an anthology, it's like, oh, that they had like one or two that were really great, but this one, all of them kind of hit really well. We've got G.I. Joe issue 19 from Image, Skybound, and our Inner John universe, and I'm gonna open this while you're checking out the cover, so you guys can see this really cool die cut like wraparound image that they created, which is so cool. If you are not following the G.I. Joe world of the comics, you should definitely jump in. Joshua Williamson's creating a great story. And what it's about is that the G.I. Joe world and the Transformers world are the same place. And so when Transformers arrived on the planet Earth and started to spread their war between the Decepticons and the Autobots, it was the G.I. Joes who were the military special forces that went out to be a part of that. And now they are at the point where they've kind of been going toe-to-toe with Cobra and trying to get to all of this Inner John first and stop Cobra from building this weapons base that they really don't want him to have. And recently they just went through their Dreadnought War in the desert, trying to save Duke and stop Cobra from getting what he wanted. And they are having some fallout from that now in this issue, because one of the members of the Joe Squad has actually been teaming up in secret with the Transformers, and Duke is very, very against that. And so in this issue, we see Duke arrest our Transformer friend and actually begin questioning it as if he's going to, find some answers, and he's trying to he's slowly learning that the Autobots and the Decepticons are not the same thing, but whether or not he chooses to trust that is definitely going to be what makes the story work in the future. We've got Ghost Pepper issue 8 from Image Skybound. It's a fun book. This is all about a young girl who runs a food truck in a post-apocalyptic-y kind of world, and she is the society has rebuilt based off of this one ruler who's like, I'm the one that saved y'all, and he's created a godlike status for himself. And meanwhile, she just runs her food truck where she sells food made out of ghost peppers. And one day she comes across this like man who seems to have a very secret past named Ash, who we find out that is actually like the god powered person who did actually save the world. And now that it's out that Ash is back, the faux ruler of the world is sending everybody after him in order to try to stop him. And in this issue, one of the minions of the faux god has come, and she's really not even here necessarily to battle for the god, but just to push Ash back on the path that she thinks he should be on, which is of death and destruction. And it really kind of brought a big turn into the story in this issue for sure. Powers, issue 6 from Dark Horse. This is the 25th anniversary of Powers from Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming, and it is an all-new story. So if you did not read Powers before, you can actually jump in here and kind of figure out what's going on. But if you want a quick rundown, Powers is basically a universe of where superheroes and humans live together, and in that world there is a department of the police force that's job it is to control all the things that the Powers people do. No powered people have ever been on that police force unit before until now. We've got our first powered person on this. Meanwhile, there has been a series of very dark and gruesome murders that are happening, and they're all happening to powered people, and the evidence being left behind is blaming the people who have always been known as those who saved the Powers universe. And so in this issue, we do get taken to like a pocket dimension where we are forced to listen to one of the powered people who feels like she's being implicated in this, kind of explain what is possibly going on. And we do get to see a little bit more of those clues kind of make sense a little bit as this detective story continues to unfold. We've got the wrap-up of Tama Volume 1 with Issue 6 of Tama from Panic Entertainment. What a great a wrap-up that we have to this. So we are going to see more of Tama. I think you may have already know that because there's some specials that have been advertised in the back of the book for a while. But if you don't know, Tama is the story about a young boy who feels really sad and alone because his father has died, and his mom kind of is so busy with work all the time that she doesn't pay attention to him. And so one day, going through his mom's work boxes, he finds a now defunct company's essentially companimals, a Tamagotchi, so to speak. And he decides that this new Tamagotchi kind of thing is going to be his own personal pet. Unfortunately for us, this Tamagotchi is an evil psycho animal, and when he doesn't get enough love, he starts killing people and everything around him. So we have been battling for the last 6 issues to figure out how to stop Tama from being a deathly creature, and I'm going to let you read to see exactly how we deal with that as this arc wraps up. We've got Good as Dead, issue 6 from Image Skybound. This is the wrap-up of this book as well. And what a wrap-up it was. It's all about a small town that seems to have gotten itself into a load of trouble, and the small town sheriff that really kind of can't see past the small townness of it. After a bridge explodes in the town, the sheriff starts investigating his usual suspects, only to find out that there actually is something a lot bigger going on here, and that scientists in the area may have discovered some very dangerous otherworldly beings. Meanwhile, there's also a deadly virus that has been put out onto these people, and this sheriff himself has gotten that virus. And so he's kind of got a massive ticking clock to solve this mystery. And so he's got to very quickly learn to see beyond what he's used to, which is really hard when your deputy is actually in cahoots with the people who are kind of covering it all up. And so over the course of the last 6 issues, he's kind of been working together and separately of her, trying to figure it out. And again, I don't want to spoil too much because it is the wrap up, but if you're looking for a good book. It actually kind of reminds me of the plot of the Swamp Thing CW show. Like with the way the virus comes in and the people and the way they're trying to do it. So if you enjoyed that show and you were like, I'd like it without Swamp Thing in it, that's the book for you. We've got issue 6 of Escape from Image Comics and the Giant Generator imprint. This is the end of arc 1 of Escape, which I'm very sad of because I do not want to break on this book. I want it to just keep going. But this is all about a world where we've got anthropomorphic animals who are experiencing a world war. And we are following a very grizzled bear as he is sent behind enemy lines to try to stop the spread of these new weapons that they've created. And it starts like feeling like, I think he's actually a dog. He's not a bear, because that's why it's dog fights in the beginning. He's not a bear at all. His ears just look cute like a little bear on this one, but I'm pretty sure he's a dog. Anyway, this guy is rough and tough, and we kind of have felt like at the very beginning that like he was all action and didn't really have the heart. And the way Rick Remender told the story so well is he actually blended the emotional backstory into every single issue in the coolest ways, and just like he like finds ways to rip your heart out in so many different ways. And now our main character is at this point where it's up to him to kind of sneak into this main base, or you know, get caught and get into this main base and figure out how he can get the information and stuff that his allied forces need. Again, end of an arc. I'm not going to show you the end of the issue, but if you did not read this first arc of Escape, get the issues. Don't wait for a trade paperback, because again, it's such an emotional story and it's so well done. It's definitely one that we're going to be talking about probably come Eisner season next year, because it's probably too late for this year, but maybe it'll be ongoing. I don't know. Don't listen to me. We've got Skinbreaker issue 6 from Image Comics and the Skybound universe. We've got so many books from Robert Kirkman on the shelf these days, and this is another one. But the thing that really gets everybody every single time is this gorgeous David Finch art. This is all about a world where there's a tribe of people living in this wild wilderness, and over the course of their generations, their thing has been that they've had like one chieftain who kind of runs the power of the sword for their world and keeps the monsters at bay for them. And our previous chieftain, who we started the story with, he's always believed that the best thing to do now is like, hey, the creatures are hunting us out. It's not about us hunting them anymore. So we need to change our path and our tactics, and we need to start using traps and having set up things for that. And a younger chieftain, who is of course just completely against him and thinks violence is the answer to everything, has challenged him. And now we are seeing the fallout of that battle, as these two are still kind of going head to head and kind of figuring out, like, are the new ways better, or are the old ways, and is there something more we could be doing for people, and what makes one person a good chieftain versus another. It's just a beautiful book to look at. Be Not Afraid, issue 6 from Boom Studios, and this is the wrap-up of this book as well. So many books coming to an end. This is all about a woman who has a son who is actually, she had a child with an angel, and unfortunately that did not come out so angelic as you would imagine. It actually led to a very dangerous person who, everywhere he went, darkness kind of followed him. And over the course of the series, she has been told repeatedly by the angels, like, you need to kill him, you need to kill him. He's going to bring about the destruction of this town and these people in this world. And now we are seeing exactly what that would look like. And as she has to make that choice of, if I kill my son, like, is it really going to make a difference? And does God even care? And why did God let this happen? And so her religion and her faith are being tested very much in this. And there is so much in the back half of this book. You're not getting any of it, but you definitely need to read this book. Lissandro's art really just, like, gives you the creepy, crazy feelings all the way through. We've got Terminator Metal issue 5 from Dynamite Comics. This is an anthology of stories that are in the Terminator world that just kind of, you know, give us a little bit more outside of the Connor situation of the Terminators. And this follows a group of people who are stationed in the Antarctic, and they are supposed to be working on finding some different materials and things like that. And one of the Terminators actually shows up in their base, and we don't know why, but he does start to kind of do his usual attempt to upload Skynet and get all of the information that he needs, and it's up to one research team member here that's studying the weather to actually figure out what is going on and how she can stop this machine before it's too late and kind of save the world from Judgment Day, which is an interesting thing to do when you're all the way in Antarctica, because you don't really know, like, if you actually succeeded or not, because you are so far away from the world, which makes this issue a really, really cool one. We've got TMNT Shredder, issue number 5 from IDW. Shredder, if you didn't read the last 150 issues of Ninja Turtles, Shredder at the end was missing. We didn't know what happened to him. This has brought him back. This issue has 2 different art styles, so I'm going to show you one of them first. This is Shredder telling a story about, like, this past experience that he had, and so you get this older, like, art style, kind of like we did with Thundercats, where you see Shredder kind of telling us the story of this evil, like, beast that he had to fight, this demon, essentially, that he faced against, and he's telling this story to the person that's been his partner, because what's been going on is Shredder was brought back, and he's been forced to kind of work with the FBI on taking down some darker, people that have come in to try to take his place, and they're in this plane, and he's telling her the story about all this stuff, and she's like, so there's basically no way we can survive this situation that we're coming up against, and he's like, no, I'm telling you this because I have already survived that, and if I survive that, then you and I together can survive anything, which is really good, because they immediately go into some very dangerous battles. I thought this was going to be the end of this, and I'm happy to say that it's actually not, because every issue of this Shredder book actually makes me want more issues of this Shredder book, so I'm so glad that it's not over yet. And speaking of turtles, we have TMNT Battle Nexus, issue 5 from IDW. This one is the last issue of this story. If you are enjoying DCKO, you're kind of getting a little thing similar to that from the Ninja Turtles in this book. Basically, a Time Lord has brought us to a battle royale kind of situation on a rogue, like, pocket dimension planet, and he has pit the Ninja Turtles one by one against other people from throughout all of the different dimensions. And so we saw, like, Leo fighting classic Mirage Shredder, Donatello has to fight Metalhead, Raphael fought Alapex, and so this one is leading Michelangelo to fight Slash, something he absolutely does not want to do. Meanwhile, all of the turtles who have gone before him in their battles have been put into this, like, pocket dimension prison, and so they're working to find their way out of that and restore the way back into the main world, and we do get to see how that plays out in all of those different plans for them as that series wraps up. Also wrapping up is Street Sharks with issue 5, also from IDW. Street Sharks, if you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, you probably had a moment with Street Sharks somewhere in your life. This is the gang of Street Sharks have been trying so hard to get the world around them to like them, while they are going against their evil bad guy, who is convinced that he's trying to convince the world that the Street Sharks are the bad guys, and also trying to mind control all humans. His way of doing that in this issue is that he decides he's going to turn the new mall, which is also, like, part aquarium, into a place where he can trap all of the humans and lead the Street Sharks to look like they are aggressive and attacking everyone. Unfortunately for him, the Street Sharks are just cool, and nobody thinks that's what's going down as they battle to work to save them. And so we do get to see how that battle plays out for them as that story wraps up. Starship Godzilla, issue 5, also from IDW. Man, IDW had a lot of books in the last 2 weeks. This is the story of a young girl who is kind of on one of those Ravager kind of, like, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of flights. I would say that's the best way to do it. She's on one of those thieving ships of people who are a ragtag group of people going through space trying to steal artifacts and turn them in to the highest bidder. And in this on this quest that they're on, they actually stole some kaiju eggs, and she has now since learned that they are not the good guys. She thought that they were doing these things to actually make things better, only to find out that they're not. And not only that, but she recently learned that they are actually working with the Xalians, and that's, like, not good. That's obviously bad. And so she's ultimately against them, and she is trying to figure out how to get back to the world that they recently stayed on so that she can save the people that are on that world that the Xylians are saying that they're going to destroy. And so she's like, we have to do the right thing, and this is not something that we normally do, and I'm tired of being on team bad guy, even though I just found out that I was. So let's do the right thing, and I'm willing to do it myself if I have to. We've got the wrap-up of Death to Pachuco from Image Comics and the Top Cow imprint. This is been such a really good story. If you are a fan of Good Asian, you're getting something very similar in that you are getting a detective story featuring a minority group that doesn't get seen enough in their detective moments. This one also puts it, like Good Asian did, it also puts it in a time that was rife with a lot of extreme racism towards the group, so you can see how that comes into play. This follows a man who is a detective who has been approached by two women to figure out how to save the sister who took the blame for something she did not do and ended up in prison, and now they're trying to figure out how to actually say, like, get her free from that. In the process of doing all that investigation, that they do end up inside of all of the gang wars that are going on, as well as all of the race riots. And we did get to see kind of that start in the last issue, and in this issue we kind of see those race riots really come to some high tension as these people try to figure out how to navigate around that in order to make a great story. And again, don't want to spoil an ending for you, but you should definitely read this. Don't wait for the trade. It's got a good story right now, and you can run out and grab it. Gunpowder Profits, issue 5 from Mad Cave, also ending this week, or at least this adventure. I could see us getting more of this, and I hope we do get to see them go on some more adventures. This follows two guys in a very like 70s like kind of film style story. Two guys who their job is to go around. They're kind of guys for hire who go around and just like retrieve the thing you need or take out the bad guys. And they're hired by a woman who tells them that her ex-husband has actually kidnapped their child, and he's going to sacrifice her for the cult that he's in, and they need to save her. Well, what we've learned in the last 5 issues is it turns out Mom also kind of in a cult and also wants the child's like blood, and that's the only reason she really wants the child back, is so that she can sacrifice the child. And so in this issue we are seeing a showdown between the two parents as they kind of have to figure out how to stop these parents from getting their child back, how to protect this child, and also like is anybody actually the good guy in this book? And are they going to step up and be the good guys? So, really cool wrap-ups of that one. And I love to see when everybody is a bad character, like a bad person, like how do they make the right choices? We've got Author Immortal issue 5 from Image Comics. This is the story of a guy who is a terrible father, to say the least. He is a terrible father and a mediocre writer, and his child has come to stay with him, and they are not happy about the situation. And he is hired by a famous author who needs to repair her image to bring to life a classic story that was never finished by a childhood fiction writer's like fandom. Like she's like, oh my gosh, I need to save my like face for my reputation, so we're gonna bring to life a story that was never finished by a beloved children's lit author. I'm going to send you over there to try to see if you can find the missing pieces. And when he goes to stay in this man's estate to look for it, they actually find out that there is a portal to the world of the book, and him and his child get sucked into it. And now he has been working with the story counterpart to his own kid, who is on their own adventure, trying to save the world. Like they've realized like this world is in danger and that they're maybe the only one who can save it. And in this issue, we actually see the two connect again for the first time, like dad and child connect. and he cannot seem to hear anything his child is saying, which is, of course, something that they've complained about forever, that the dad doesn't listen and doesn't hear them and doesn't understand them. And now it's becoming something that will completely and totally destroy this world and not just their relationship. And we're seeing how that's going to play out. Meanwhile, back in the real world, things are getting really bad for him, and he doesn't even know it. And so we're going to see where that goes as he eventually has to come back. We've got the wrap-up of Temporal with issue 5 from Mad Cave. This is the story of a woman who used to be a time-traveling thief and worked for this agency that sent people back in time to do different things, as was her husband. As far as they both know, neither of them is doing that anymore because they have given up that life in order to become just parents who raise their child. But when she wants to get the perfect gift for her child and she can't figure out a way to do that, she ends up back in the time traveling game, only to get wrapped up in a big giant disaster that may actually destroy the entire universe. And so it's up to her family to do that. And while they've been trying so hard to hide it from her son, it turns out her child might be the only one smart enough to actually figure out what's going on. And maybe it all runs in the family. A really great wrap-up and a really great family story in the end from Stephanie Williams. And if you didn't read it yet and you like time-traveling action books, it's definitely a good one to pick up. Supernatural issue 5 from Dynamite. If you are a fan of the Supernatural show, you should definitely be picking up this comic because it is like the mini adventures of Sam and Dean. I've been told it's kind of like if it was season 2-ish of the story. In the last issue, they ended up at a haunted library where they were being attacked by ghosts who were trying to get them to stay in the library. In this issue, they are approached at that library by some other people who are determined to steal their dad's book, which has all the secrets to, you know, heaven and hell and understanding the universe at large and all of the supernatural stuff in it. So they end up having to go on yet another grand adventure. They're still kind of figuring out who all the players are, both good and bad, in this story. And so it's really cool because if you don't know the supernatural world, you don't have to know who the characters are yet. It kind of introduces you to them as it goes along. So a great way to get into Supernatural if you want to. We've got the wrap-up of Maleficent. This is volume 2 of Maleficent, which was a different story to the previous one. This is issue 5 from Dynamite and the Disney comic line. And in this series, we've been watching as Maleficent has kind of returned to the fairy world away from the place that she lives and is searching for this ultimate power that she can't find. She's had these 2 spirits with her the whole time, and as well as a ghostly or a skeletal knight. And she's been betrayed in the last issue, and Maleficent does not like betrayal. And so in this issue, she's kind of going after all of them and trying to figure out how to still maintain that power. I love this because not only did it wrap up this story, but it also does figure out how to connect us back to the world of Sleeping Beauty. And so if you are a fan of Sleeping Beauty, you're probably a fan of Maleficent, and you should read this book. Murder Podcast, issue 5 from our friends at Ignition Press. This is still going strong as we are trying to figure out what exactly is causing people to do the murders. If you don't know this story, basically there is a podcast that whenever somebody listens to it, they go kind of crazy and start killing everybody around them. A group of friends has been kind of wrapped up at the center point of it because one of the members of the group is a detective, and so they are investigating the situation. In the last issue, there's a big fallout amongst the friends because, I guess 2 issues, there's a big fallout amongst friends because the wife of our detective got too much into the story of it and kind of got into some evidence they weren't supposed to get into, which led to some problems between the happy couple. We also saw in the last issue some of the friends get into the dangers of what was going on with the murder, and so that has changed everything for us as we are trying to figure out, now that it's hitting a lot closer to home, how do we actually solve this murder before it's too late and the rest of the world is destroyed. We still don't know how. We're just now figuring it out. We'll see what happens. We've got Red Book number 4 from Tiny Onion and Dark Horse. This is the wrap-up of this, and quite possibly might be the wrap-up of these alien stories from James Tynion. In this series, we've been kind of looking at the stories of aliens in other places specifically like Russia and China. But we are seeing this one kind of bring it all together, because while he does start out with that, he kind of does bring it back around to the fact that like a lot of those stories have impacted what we've done to hide alien UFOs and alien representation here in America. And there is a really, really cool story that comes from that about basically the guy that kind of was at the forefront of discovering a lot of the Blue Book information, like kind of starting to decipher it. Like he took that information and was really running with it. They wanted to convince him that he was crazy. And so they kind of just overgave him the information. And instead of telling him, yeah, aliens don't exist, they told him, yeah, they do. Here's a special computer that you can use from us to like document it. And really they were using that computer to surveil him and like send him messages claiming to be aliens until it forced him to like essentially go crazy, and nobody believed anything else he said. It's a really wild story. What's cool about these is you don't actually have to read all of them. If you were like, oh, that sounds fascinating, I want to read that, you can. What's also cool about these is none of these are fictional stories. These are the things that have been put out there in connection to all of this stuff that James Tynion is just telling you, so that you can know those stories as well without just having to read Wikipedia, you know? Like, read it with Michael Avon Oeming art instead. We've got Return to Sleepy Hollow, number 4 from IDW. Things are getting darker and crazier in this, and it is making me want to rewatch the movie so much, because this is from the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow world. This is all about, it's post the movie. It's actually way post the movie, because we've got a new character, a daughter now that's coming in that is making us, you know, who's like a part of the family business, while that we're running this funeral home and we're taking care of these dead bodies, and something has happened and people are suddenly starting to die in this mysterious way, and we can't figure out what exactly it is. And she's been seeing these evil spirits and things kind of tell her what's going to it. So she's going to her mom, Katrina, and she's telling her about all this stuff. So Ichabod Crane has been brought back to this, and he is now tied up in all of it, looking for what the mysterious thing may be and how to solve it. He has no idea what his connection to this young girl may be, but neither does she, but they are starting to kind of overlap in some of the things that they know about this mysterious circumstance that's going on. It is such, if you are a fan of the story of Sleepy Hollow, this is such a well done version of it, because it does give you a new story in that world, but also still has all of the same like dark feelings and creepy loomings and stuff like that. So highly recommend for Sleepy Hollow fans that you check that book out. We've got issue 4 of Voyeur from Ignition Press. This is all about a woman who is an art thief, as well as a man who's an art thief, who they connect together at a hotel. That can't go on the internet. Let's see which pages we can put on the internet today in Voyeur. Always a hard thing to figure out. Maybe this one. Yeah. So we are, this is obviously a very adult book when I say that. This is all about these two art thieves that meet when she is staying at a hotel and he is working security there, and they figure out a great way to steal art out of the hotel rooms. This is a very high-end resort, so there is lots and lots of art around the place. Now that they've gotten this one piece of art that they've stolen. Oh, look, another page I can show you. They've gotten like the 1 or 2 pieces of art that they've stolen. She's now come up with a very elaborate plan where they could potentially steal all of the art on the island. And she's trying to convince him in this issue how they can do that and how that plan will work. And it is the sexiest, what do we need for our heist version of that you could possibly get in this issue for sure. We've got The Disavowed, issue 4 from the Devil's Due comics. This is a former G.I. Joe writer writing a G.I. Joe story that is actually not in continuity. So you're getting kind of like the way Kyle Higgins' Radiant Black kind of felt like Power Rangers expanded. This is kind of giving us that same feeling. It's all about a young kid who finds out that his dad was a member of this elite task force of the military, and so he decides he wants to join the military and kind of follow in his footsteps when he gets older. And now that he's in there, he was recently approached by the allegedly completely like dead or missing squad of people that his dad used to work with, and so he's learning that everything he thought was real is not, and also the people he's working for might not be the good guys. Meanwhile, this squad is definitely ready to come back to the open world and expose exactly what has been going on for this time and why they're still able to be alive and not actually dead, and why do they look exactly the same as they did like 30 years ago. Really cool. If you are a fan of G.I. Joe, I recommend you check this one out for sure. Or if you've always wanted to read G.I. Joe, but you don't want to have to go through like 40 years of continuity, that's a great way to do it. We've got Kate's issue 4 from the Invincible World at Image and Skybound. This is just kind of giving us a little look into the lives of other superheroes that work for Capes Incorporated. We've been following along as they kind of build out what that universe looks like a little bit more. And so if you're kind of in an Invincible lull and you're like, man, I really wish I had some more stories from there, this is a great way to do that. We are following along a couple of different people at this world and just getting to see their day-to-day lives. And in the last issue, we had a real upset when we found out that somebody we thought was on our side was actually not on our side at all. And so we've lost some members of the team, and we're trying to rebuild, and we're trying to get everybody kind of back in the right headspace. But unfortunately for our heroes, there is not a lot of time to do that. And much like anything else in the Invincible world, it's brutal, it's bloody, and it's just going to get bad for them before it gets better. We've got Liquidator issue 4 from Mad Cave, the book that keeps on giving. This story has just been such a fun, exciting adventure for us from Peter Milligan, and Peter Kowalski on the art just keeps it wild. This is the story of a time cop force, essentially. And just know that whatever I'm about to say is also 100% not what this book is about. But this story is about a time cop force that kind of goes around and steals people who are down on their luck and who aren't feeling good about themselves, and brings them in and kind of forces them to be these time agents so that they really just don't matter. And like if they get all messed up in the head, they can just disregard them. Well, we've been following this one woman primarily as she's kind of getting to that point where she's realizing being a liquidator isn't a great thing, and they are not doing a good job keeping control of the people. And so she kind of wants out. Well, she's met a man who has found the way out, but is he the good guy, or is he the bad guy? She doesn't really know. And so while she's trying to figure out like, ooh, should I trust him? Should I not trust him? She's also finding herself in a lot of hot water with the organization that she's a member of, because they don't take kindly to people questioning their authority. And every twist and turn that book goes through leaves you wondering what exactly is going to happen next. We've got Craniacs issue 4 from Titan Comics. This is the end of this Craniac story. I hope we get more. And also, if you don't know, this is also a trading card thing, much like the Cabbage Patch or Garbage Pail Kids and all of those kinds of fun things. And you should grab them because they're so cute. Very, very much Garbage Pail Kids. But this is about 2 different worlds. One is a futuristic world where everything is like tech done and fancy and you know, just like crazy futuristic. The other is a Stone Age world where everything is very retro and very simple. And the kids of these 2 worlds have been told over the generations that the future world wants to kill the people from the retro world, and the retro world people want to kill the people from the future world. Well, it turns out that that's not in fact true, and the kids have figured out, as kids often do, that prejudices from adults are just that adults are not listening to other people, and so they all become friends and they build their own place that they can hang out and play. The adults in this issue are going to war against each other because they think that the other side has chosen kidnapped their children, and so it's up to the kids to prove to the adults that maybe they're not that different after all. It's really cute and really bright colored and fun. We've got Ferocious issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is all about a young boy who is one day out by the water and discovers what they call a ferocious, which are these like monstrous demon type people that live in around their area and kind of are known for coming and like taking out entire towns and just destroying the people. And he sees them and they're in danger and he worries about them, so he saves them, only to have that very ferocious turn around and kill his entire town. And so now he feels it's up to him to actually be the one to take this ferocious person out. But he's not at the skill level that he can do that. And so the ferocious person is like, you know what? I will take you with me. I will train you myself. And when the time comes, you can challenge me. And if you can kill me, you can kill me. And of course, as they've been on this adventure and as they're growing, his hate is kind of subsiding and turning into something else, whatever that may be. And he still claims that he's protecting this person to be the one that ultimately kills her. But is there something changing in his heart? We'll find out. Final boss issue 4 from Image Comics. This is a very Mortal Kombat Street Fighter-esque story from Tyler Kirkham, which is really cool to see that gritty like Street Fighter Mortal Kombat style from him. This is all about a guy who has always been a Street Fighter and is given an opportunity to enter into this essentially Mortal Kombat kind of battle. And what he knows is that his grandfather was a part of this group that went to this island and discovered this secret magical power for fighting that kind of like levels you up and puts you into this like fight mecha kind of power that you can tap into. And so he has gone like into this battle knowing that he has that, but there's a lot of other people who are trying to get a hold of that power. And so now he finds himself also having to go to this place himself for the first time and stop other people from doing it. We get really epic big battle scenes in this, and so if you're looking for, you know, like just like some big like Tyler Kirkham style fight scenes, you're gonna love the way he draws these, because there is like a really like wild, crazy, disgusting fight scene level of battle. We've got Doctor Who issue 4 from Titan and their BBC line. This is the wrap-up of this story, and I'm so sad because I just never want Doctor Who stories to end. This has been like kind of like watching one episode of Doctor Who as we've been following the Doctor. He is on this prison in space that he has been working his way through. He's had a couple of people that he's collected along the way, as the Doctor often does, to help him as he tries to get back to his companion that has been kidnapped by this warden of this prison. You get all of the heartfelt moments from the Doctor through each issue of this, as you see him lose different people and try to like help them find their way, and also just him getting angrier and angrier at the villain that he's going after. If you are in like a Doctor Who lull and you're like, I miss Doctor Who, I want to watch some more episodes, here it is. Read this series, because it's exactly what you want a Doctor Who episode to be. We've got Toxic Crusaders issue 4 from Ahoy Comics. This is, you know, Matt Borst just doing what Matt Borst does and taking the funniest, ridiculous thing and turning it into all of the social commentary at one time. In this issue, we kind of take a step away from the Crusaders themselves, and we find two different people who have wanted to get involved in this situation for different reasons, and it's all before, like, a lot of it takes place before the actual, like, Toxic Crusader. Some of it takes place before the Crusaders and some of it after. So we kind of see a little flashback to one of the scientists who's kind of working with the Smogulans and everything, and is kind of trapped in this, like, oh, I want to figure out what this goop does and all this stuff. And then we fast forward to the now, and we see an influencer who is totally a bro, who's like, oh my god, like, look at me, I've got this goop stuff, and I'm using it to beef myself up slowly but surely. And then he is told by the people who are sponsoring him that he needs to go to Tromaville, and he needs to, like, find all of the toxic ooze and jump into it and see what happens, and they'll pay him tons more money if he does that. And as he does, I don't want to spoil like what exactly that looks like, but as he does that, some of their paths begin to cross, and so we do see him and this evil scientist kind of meet up together, and how somebody who, you know, is a super scientist and somebody who is just like some YouTuber on the internet can merge their worlds together in the most absurd way possible is a thing that I think only Matt Bors could figure out, but he does, and he nails it, and it's hilarious. So check it out. American Caper issue 4 from Dark Horse Comics. This is it's another one of those like dark comedy kind of stories with that action adventure in it. This is all about a man who is not even a lovable loser. He's just one of those people who, like, everything he does is just comes out in the worst way possible, and he's got the worst job and the worst family, and he just, everything does not go well for him, and he's kind of found himself wrapped up in this big mess of a story where a real estate agent is, you know, they're trying to do some big power moves in the real estate world, and he is the lawyer for them, so they're expecting him to make them happen. His neighbor is wrapped up in some murder and mayhem, even though they're supposed to be like these like perfect Christian family. And on top of that, his wife is in all the chat rooms on the internet trying to decide what it means to be a true American in her mindset, and it makes her hate her husband more and more as they go on. In this issue, we do get to see a return of a character that, like, who everybody knows but us, so it's our first experience with him, but he is coming in, and he is coming back from some time in prison where he is going to take out some stuff. What was that, Katie?
What's his name?
What is his name? Do you remember?
Is he from GTA?
I don't know. You're my GT expert. This is actually written by the same people that make Grand Theft Auto, and so Katie's trying to figure out if it is connected to it.
I really only know Lester because he's funny.
It's I don't know. I don't know what his name is off the top of my head. If you're reading that, his name was Freddy. It was Freddy. So, not a GTA character, but I know Katie really wants to see if there's a crossover moment in any, like, background characters or anything. So, but if you are a fan of Grand Theft Auto and you didn't know, this is the studio behind that. These are their writers writing that book. We've got Deluge issue 4 from Ignition. If you haven't been reading this is all about a rainstorm is causing a massive flood around a women's prison, and the prisoners are trying to figure out how they can get out. And of course, the government doesn't send anybody for these women until it's really too late, and so they're having to send some boats in, and they're taking these women down the tunnels and out, trying to get them essentially through the basement ways and things like that. And unfortunately for them, the water is rising and monsters are inside of it. But these monsters aren't just your typical monsters. It seems that they are driven by the guilt and the wrongdoings of these women. And so as our prisoners are trying so hard to make it out, they're being forced to come face to face with some of their own wrongdoings. And those who do take the time to kind of experience what they may have done wrong don't make it too far in this battle. I don't know if anybody's honestly going to make it out alive in this book. I think Cullen Bunn just wanted to write a book where he could kill everybody, and he's going to do it. All right, we're about halfway through, maybe a little bit more, so I'm going to take another drink. Again, we're drinking Spyland, which is a Portuguese red blend, and it has this cool bottle. Oh, that's nice. That's got a lot of different flavors coming in. I definitely feel like you are getting, like, I do feel like you're getting more of the, like, mocha earthy, or mocha vanilla-y, like, blend. Like, or what I assume is mocha. I don't know. I've never had mocha.
It tastes like a lot of cherries to me.
You still think it tastes like a lot of cherries to you? I mean, definitely. It doesn't even say cherries. It just says ripe dark fruit. It says plum. Plum is their big thing, which I definitely can see that too.
Yeah. I
can definitely feel the taste of plum coming in. So it's always like their catchphrase is also like always watching, and that's totally like turning it around, because I'm like, don't look at me, little X-ray glasses, man. We've got Arcadia issue 3 from Ignition. This is from the Miranda brothers that you may know from We Live, which was their big extreme hit. And this book is honestly like kind of the return to that style of world and level of emotion. This is about a world that's very much in the future. We've kind of destroyed the whole world. There's not a lot left, and so people are kind of born from this almost like robotic situation, and they need these certain supercells in order to live, and people are constantly trying to find them. We are following one young kid who is really just trying to save the man who's essentially been his father. And the only way that he can do that is he learns of this map that will show him into the city that will help him find these supercells. Unfortunately, the cities are the most dangerous places, and we're not supposed to go into them. And in this issue, he is like, I will do anything to save the person that I love and to have this experience that can protect him. And we get to see some of the big, beautiful, like, human moments between all of these people in this issue, and I don't want to show you any of them because it really actually makes, like, the front half of the book is so action loaded, and then you get to the back half of the book and you get all of the emotion and the journey that like connects people, like, and makes the humanity still survive. So I don't want to show you any of that because I want you to have that experience yourself. We've got Dog Supreme, issue 3 of 3 from Antarctic Press. This book is literally that. It is like Supreme, like the superhero, and a dog mixed together. So if you didn't know you need that, you might need to check this out. It is all about a dog who, like I said, is kind of like Supreme the hero. He does have all the pouches and all the suit. He is from a world where all of these different animal creatures have those superpowers, and they're like protectors of this universe. And he's kind of become the rogue guy that isn't quite a hero, isn't quite a villain, like, kind of a vigilante. And he ends up crash landing on Earth and gets adopted by a young girl, and she is just trying to treat him like the dog that he is. And also they meet a cat, and she's like, he's also one of the creatures, and he's like the bounty hunter coming after this dog. And so she adopts the cat too, and in this issue they're kind of like fighting, and she's bringing them back together. And I love that they wear clothes, and she's just like completely like, these are my pets, and like doesn't even acknowledge that they're wearing clothes, and like walking on their 2 feet. It's so funny. But then she does get the power in this issue to be able to talk to them, and so she finally learns what's actually going on and figures out, maybe there's a way she can help them with what they're trying to do, and we get to learn the actual backstory of them. So we've got the Darkness issue 3 from Image and the Top Cow imprint. Top Cow is bringing back some of their biggest heavy hitters with Witchblade and the Darkness this year. And Witchblade's been going on for a while, and it's been really, really good. And so they're bringing back Darkness, which is really cool because we are getting to see it in a new way. If you don't know, the Darkness is all about a man who has always been just known as more of a gangster and a player, and he's never really had, like, he's kind of just been in this mob family and been kind of the next in line to take over this family, and kind of works as the enforcer at the time. Like, he's the one they send in to deal with all that kind of stuff. And he finds out one day that he is actually the bearer of the Darkness, which means that he literally can control like all of the demons and all the monsters that hide in the dark. And he's never known that because, again, he didn't really know anything other than his mob family. He actually didn't even really know where he came from. He was originally raised in an orphanage and chosen by this mob family to join them. And so he's just recently in the last issue kind of figured out that he has this power, and not only does he have this power, but these angels are coming after him. And it's really interesting the way they do it, because they definitely make us feel like the Darkness is the good guys and the angels are the bad guys in this series, which is so cool when it balances over with how it connects with Witchblade, because you're like, I don't know that I necessarily agree that he's the good guy. Like, he kind of seems like he, is right in the line there. But he is actually trying to do everything he can to save his childhood love of his life and best friend. And we're going to see if he's able to do that, and if he succumbs to the Darkness. Our Soot-Stained Heart, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is a really interesting, like, steampunk version of the Santa Claus story, but I'm going to take it even further and say that it's actually, like, a really steampunky version of the Heat Miser, and I never get the other Snow Miser. Yes, I think we figured out that that's literally all it was. It's just their story together, and we've got these, like, these dark Christmas entities, essentially, and one's kind of taken on the role of Santa, and the other one's kind of become like a Jack Frost kind of person, and they who has taken over the city and demands coal because he can't warm up his cold heart, and he's kind of enslaved all of the people of this town and forced them to do the work of delivering coal to him. And one girl decides that she's going to stand against all of this, and so she's made her way up to the counterpart, the more Santa Clausy, traditional Santa Clausy of the two, and she has convinced him that his friend and his other half has become evil and is destroying people, and so she's had to lead him back down there to kind of face off with that. In this issue, she's also forced to actually come and decide if she's going to be somebody who fights or if she's going to be the voice of her people, because they do explain to her that you can't be both. If you lead with violence, you will always be the person people turn to looking for more violence, but if you lead with the words, you could potentially start a revolution. It's very beautifully written story, and I cannot wait to see where they ultimately go with it. Wrestle Heist, issue 3 from Image Comics. If you like heist stories and you like wrestling and you always thought, I wonder what they would look like going together, and what if they were done by a guy who's literally written Rick and Morty comics, this is what you would get. The most absurd Kyle Stark story on the shelves right now. This is all about a guy who was on the road to being the best wrestler in the world, but he chose to stand up against the production team, the man in charge, and that guy decided his career was over. And now he has teamed up with everybody that's ever been wronged by this, like, Vince McMahon kind of character, to figure out how they can fight against him, like that, how they can rob him, essentially, pull this big heist, steal all of the money he gets from his big fights giving episode day, like the day that they create the fights giving event, which is essentially their Royal Rumble in this world. Like, what if we robbed him on that day and took all of everything out of his vaults? And so they have created the most ragtag of teams. Ocean's 11, these guys are not. And yet you will find yourself cracking up laughing and somehow still finding the most sweet, adorable heart that you could ever find. Like, as these characters are just really like, hey, we just kind of want to... We want to put ourselves back on the road. We want to take care of our kids. We want to take care of ourselves. We want to be there for our friends. And if we happen to do that by beating the crap out of a man we hate and stealing all of his money, let's go. Again, heartfelt, hilarious, and perfect for people who love and don't really care about wrestling. The New Space Age, issue 3 from Mad Cave. I love that this book combines science and magic in a way that we don't get to see from stories ever, and it's such a cool story, and such a unique concept. This is all about a guy who, when he was little, him and his brother ran out in the middle of the night to get away from their dad, only to, like, run out into some crop circles on their farmland and find out that aliens were real and the brother was stolen by the aliens. Now, years and years later, this guy has become a NASA pilot, like a NASA astronaut, trying to figure out how he can get into space solely for the ability to find his brother. Well, that doesn't work out the way he wants to, and so he ends up figuring out that there's something to the way crop circles are done, because they seem to look exactly like the sigils that his friend who became a magician uses in her act. So the two of them have started working together with a NASA production person, essentially like a engineer for NASA, who is also their friend, to figure out how to take her magic and the magic of those crop circles and use them as a way to power spaceships, and also as maps that can lead them through space to help them find what they're doing, and hopefully find his brother. And so in this issue, we actually get to see the first attempt at going into space, and what he finds there is definitely fascinating. We've got some issues going on in the team in this one as well, and so we're starting to see that maybe everything isn't as good on Earth as we thought. If you are interested in magic and space, this is a great way to combine those two things together. Miss Truesdale and the Rise of Man. This is issue 3 from Dark Horse in our Hellboy universe, and this is it. This is the one that like Mike Mignola is actually working on right now with Jesse Lonergan. So if you liked Drone or Hedra and you were like, wow, Jesse like Lonergan has like the coolest art, you will love the way it works in the Hellboy universe because it is so perfectly fitting for a Mignola story. If you don't know Miss Truesdale, she is this long-standing member of the Hellboy world who is essentially this immortal woman who seems to have been a part of all different things. And in this story, we actually find out that she was there at the beginning of the creation of man. And so we do get to see her kind of be a part of taking over, or of the takeover of man over beast and things like that. And she's kind of dealing with the fight that goes with that. And I love Miss Truesdale because it does bounce back and forth between what she's actually dealing with now and her kind of like telling these stories and those connection pieces. And this works so well for that and the balance of like what is happening in her world right now. Again, it's you're like here for the Jesse Lonergan art and the way that it just so perfectly blends into that Hellboy universe. So definitely check this out if you are a Hellboy fan. 30 Days of Night, Falling Sun. This is issue 3 from IDW, and this is the wrap-up of this story. I could have definitely lived in this world for forever with the way Rodney Barnes was telling a new 30 Days of Night story, but it doesn't actually need to go much further than this because it so perfectly wraps up. This is years and years, like the amount of time it's been essentially since 30 Days of Night came out. It is that much time like in this world. And now we've kind of gotten to the point where the people of Alaska have forgotten that vampires came and attacked and destroyed this whole town during the 30 days where the sun didn't come up. And now it's kind of become this myth that people don't really believe in anymore. Well, a young boy has to come stay with his uncle after he gets into some trouble with gang violence in LA. And while he's there, we get the return of vampires for the first time. And things get dark, quite literally, when the sun no longer rises and the vampires are able to come. And they are adamant that they are seeking revenge for what happened during the time that their people have come before. In this issue, or in the last issue, we also learned that the people from the gang are also trying to hunt down this young boy who's up here. And so we do see the paths cross of both vampire and human gangs in this and what that might look like. If you just want a really cool, if you like the 30 Days of Night comic or the 30 Days of Night movie, you should definitely read this story to see more. And we've got, were you talking about how it's Chris Sheehan on art?
Yeah. That wasn't mentioned.
No, I did the last two. I did not mention it on this one. But yeah, Chris Sheehan on art and Rodney Barnes on story. Like, that is a team. Like, if you ask me to pick a horror team, like, right now to, like, build another book after this, give me some Chris Sheehan and Rodney Barnes on another book together because that is a powerhouse horror team for sure. We've got Barbaric, the Long Death, issue 2 from Vaults. The Barbaric universe does this thing where they give us these little miniseries, kind of like the Hellboy universe, and so you kind of get like 2 to 3 stories at a time. And so this is our newest one. If you don't know, Barbaric is about a barbarian named Owen who has a talking axe that gets drunk on blood. And he is cursed to be a part of saving people, whether he wants to or not. He's always been somebody who like just killed people. Now he can only do it for good. He has a witch that travels with him named Soren, and she's kind of been avoiding her home for a really long time and all of the dark stuff that may have happened to her. And in this series, we're finally coming back to Owen and Soren because we've been following other people, and they have had to take a call of helping people in the town that Soren is actually from, where they, of course, hate her. They have trapped her in this cave, and she is being forced to face off against all of the things that she has been avoiding waiting forever. Owen cannot get in there, neither can Axe, and so they are trying to fight their way back into this experience so that maybe they can save Soren before it's too late. And we are finally starting to see a little bit of how all of the barbaric miniseries may connect together as we move through this series. Veil of Tears, issue 2 from IPI Comics. This is retelling a story from literature and comic format, and we are following along as we kind of go through this tale of ancient Rome, where we're seeing a young soldier, or not really, I don't know that he's that young, but we are seeing a soldier who has made a deal with the goddess Ishtar, and she has basically told him she will give him this immortality and this strength if he brings her all of the deaths that she needs to thrive on. And so in this issue, we are approaching a new place where a very lazy king has kind of just been giving Rome everything they ask for him because he doesn't want to do any work to fight back against them. And his wife is telling him that now is the time, that they are just raising the cost more and more for his payment that he has, his tax that he has to pay to Rome. And so they end up bringing in this sellsword to fight for them, and we get to see how that is impacted by this goddess and where that might leave them with Rome, and how that might put him on the path he wants to be on. Malevolent, issue 2 from Image Comics. This is another one that's kind of putting like some science and supernatural stuff together, because this is years ago we saw a world where the gates of hell cracked open from science that they were doing that was really bad. And now the humans have kind of adapted, and they've started just dealing with the fact that these demons come out of hell and just attack them at different times. And they've kind of developed a secret, a branch of the police force that's dealing with that. Unfortunately for them, they're not very good at it. And so what happens is a group of scientists have started to work to train this one Mal that they think that they can control and put on their side. And so she has been brought in as like special forces for this police force. And they tried it in the first issue to see her go through this attack, and she was able to do exactly what they wanted. And it was kind of like, how long is it going to be before this evil entity turns on them? But it didn't happen yet, so we're on the next case and something new has happened, and we've got 2 Mals that they have to fight against, and the only thing that they can think to do, of course, is bring in their new secret weapon. And we do see her kind of struggling for the first time, and where does that put the team, and can they learn to even work with this evil entity that they've been trained to kill for so long? A really cool concept to see where that's going. Tomb Raider Sacred Artifacts, issue 2 from Dark Horse. If you are a fan of Tomb Raider games, movies, anything like that, you definitely should be checking this book out. Lara Croft is not very excited about the fact that her house was recently destroyed. And so she is being tasked as the socialite that she is to put the house back together again. And of course, the media is all concerned about that. But for her, that's not what she cares about. Of course, she just wants to be a part of these digs and challenges that she loves doing. And in this issue, she is called in by a friend to come help with a caper in Paris that they need their assistance with. And so she flies out to help with this and this experience in the catacombs. And I love this because they are literally searching for the mask of the Phantom of the Opera, which may allegedly be a real thing. And so she ends up teaming up with some new people to go on this adventure. Meanwhile, if you read issue 1, you know that there is somebody who is chasing after her and trying to figure out a way to reach her. And so the further she gets into this quest and this adventure she's on, the more dangerous the attacks seem to get. We've got Alice Forever After, issue 2 from Boom Studios. This is the 3rd arc in the Alice Ever After kind of series that we've been seeing from Dan Panosian, which is really, really cool. In the previous volumes, we kind of saw Alice being somebody who was being drugged by her family, and that's what led her to Neverland and all of the experiences. She was put into a mental asylum, and they were, threatening lobotomies and things like that, and all of the characters in the asylum were the people who were a part of her Wonderland experience. Now it's been so long that Alice has had a child, and now her child is part of her experience and the only thing that she really knows. And Alice seems to have forgotten about Wonderland entirely, which is causing Wonderland to die on its own. And the Cheshire Cat, who now runs Wonderland, is looking for somebody to help bring Alice back to it. And if they cannot bring Alice, it seems as though everybody in Wonderland, good or bad, is quite content to bring her child in. And we are going to see all of the dark people of the home world and Wonderland kind of coming against Alice in different ways. It is such a good story. If you are even mildly a fan of Alice in Wonderland, you should read it. We've got a lot of number ones that came out in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to take a really quick drink. Spyland. Ooh, that peppery got that time. Starting to open up. This is Smile for the Camera, number 1 from IDW. I've never seen the Smile movies, so whether or not this connects to the Smile movies at all, I have no idea. But I don't need to know whether or not it does, because it says Hannah Rose May right there, and I'm a huge Exorcism at 1600 Pen fan, so I knew I was going to love this. And let me tell you, so good. I'm so excited. This is all about a girl who is in college, and she's in nursing school, and she's trying to become a nurse. And she doesn't have the money that she needs to pay for her student loans or any of the experiences that she needs to have. So she signs on for a very, very terrible modeling contract that seems to put her in all of the worst positions. But she's like, if I can do this job as modeling, I can have the money I need to do the things I want to do. And so she goes to live with these other girls who are all in the modeling business with her agency too, in this really slummy apartment. And one of the girls is having the worst week. She is starting to see herself deteriorating. When she looks in the mirror, she's having all of these weird hallucinations of people. She thought she saw a man jump into the airplane engine when she was on an airplane. All kinds of weird stuff is happening, and so it keeps getting darker and darker. And so while this girl is falling into this supermodel darkness and all the stuff that comes with that, we're seeing so much of the horror darkness coming for this other girl, and those two paths are kind of overlying. It is so good. Hannah is so good at telling a horror story, and I don't know how much it connects to the Smile world. You don't need to know either, because it's actually just a very well done horror book on the shelf right now, and what a creepy cover. You probably bought this last week. I don't know if you read it or not, but it's White Sky number 1 from Image Comics. This was the big book for last week. Basically 5 years ago, the sky turned white, much like a snowy world, and the world was destroyed by these weird, ghostly entities, and nobody kind of knows what happened. Now we find a young girl. When this story opens up, we have a young girl and her dad who are trying to make their way through this wasteland, trying to figure out, is there somewhere that's safer than where they were? Because the place that they were living has been completely destroyed. And to navigate through this, you have to be mindful of whatever weather comes your way, but you also have to worry about the other humans, which they do get attacked by some, and these ghostly entities. And there's all these little things that you have to do to try to survive, if the ghosts do come near you. And our young girl, Violet, is trying to figure out how to navigate this world and keep herself and her dad safe in the process. Death Fight Forever, number 1 from Image. If you played video games in the 90s that were the crazy, off the wall, fighting games, this is not the ones that were you fight against somebody, but they even compare it to Double Dragon, which you can totally see from the start screen at the beginning of this. But those kinds of books, or games, you're gonna really love this story. It's wild and over the top, and the art is look at that, the art, it's crazy. But this is a world where an evil bad guy, Lord Slither, who's an interdimensional demon, has come after all of these people and is trying to create obstacles that help him overtake the entire world. And now he's got a team of people who are trying to go against them, some of which are like super thieves and they're loyalists and all of their teammates. And so we get to see them kind of trying to go through and do one of those adventure moments that like you've got to go through the obstacles and everything to get past, to get to the end of this like pyramid and figure it out. But Lord Slither out to destroy the world again, so he comes after them. And I love that they call it eye-popping, face-melting action comedy on the back, because it really is. You're just like, everything in here is wild and crazy, but it does look like you're playing a 90s video game on every single page, which is really cool. So if you want something that's like action-packed like that, you should definitely check this out. It actually says it has 4 different artists on it. Yeah, it does. It has lots of different artists, which is really cool. We've got another one that you probably picked up 2 weeks ago, is Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre #1 from Mad Cave. This was the hot book 2 weeks ago, and it is absolutely 100% wild in every way. This is about the government trying to convince people not to do drugs, is how it actually opens up, with one of those like crazy don't do drugs kind of stories. And it's like essentially like we're supposed to be watching what that video, like how that would play out if you did a lot of drugs. And so it takes us to a theme park where everybody is excited to see the hippopotamuses perform. And they're like, oh, look at these hippos. We are the hippo thing. But it turns out that the guy in charge of the theme park is like this evil kingpin who also is trying to sell a new brand, like strain of cocaine out of his theme park. And so we've got an undercover, like a drug, like the DEA is undercover there. We've got a guy who's coming in as like a vigilante to save his brother, who's been the other undercover guy all this time, who totally messes up the whole thing. If you could get absurd from on top of that, we get more absurd than that. And then if you could get a more absurd than saying all of this is happening, you get more absurd. Every page of this story just makes goes further and further into the story until eventually we're really here. We're here for it. We are going to see what happens when a bunch of hippopotamuses do a lot of cocaine in a hurricane. That's where this story is going. It's wild, it's crazy, and yet you're like rolling in laughter the whole time, because it is written so satirically well that you're constantly like, what is going on? I don't know, but I need to find out. You're gonna have to wait for a second print on that if you want to read it, because that and White Sky are both gone to second prints because they sold out everywhere on week 1. So wait for those second prints, because they are definitely coming your way soon. We've got Mega Man #1 from Udon and Capcom. So we just had a Mega Man X issue 0, and I told you this is setting up an actual like ongoing Mega Man. Guess what? It's happening. This is it. Mega Man is going after some bad guys in this issue. It does pick up where the 0 issue left off. So I recommend reading the 0 issue, but if you didn't get it, it does have literally like 3 pages of backstory. Like, I'm going to show you that really fast. It does, I guess it's 2. It like has like a full page here, and then another one that's like, hey, in the past, like Mega Man got these powers and he went and did this thing. And I love that like the first page looks like you're playing the Mega Man game. Like, it's like, oh, now that you've read the backstory, like you've clicked through all the backstory screen, here's the actual gameplay. But Mega Man is on an adventure trying to figure out how to stop his bad guy that he's been going after. And him and his partner decide that they are going to separate in this story. And he kind of has to face a lot of quick challenges really quickly, really suddenly. It does read like you're playing the video game, because he's like, oh, they've got these upgrades, well then I need to go after them with these upgrades. And then you do see like, oh, this is the ultimate bad guy I'm gonna fight, but before I can do that, Storm Eagle shows up. Let me go after Storm Eagle and see what I'm gonna do. So if you are a fan of the Mega Man game, what I've been told is this writer is also a huge fan, and so this is gonna really feel like perfect for fans of the game. We've got End of Life #1 from Kyle Starks, and this is from DC's Vertigo. Vertigo is back. We are going to be covering the Vertigo books on this show as if they were separate from the DC, because they are some of the, we love our Vertigo and we're so happy it's back. This is all about a man who is absolutely terrible. There is no redeeming quality to this character at all so far. He is a part of a secret society of thieves that are supposed to, they all kind of go after things and not in each other's territories, and they're supposed to never, like, they have rules that say you can't do that. Well, he ends up getting hired by somebody who was hired by somebody to do a job, and as he's there doing the job, he realizes that they are, in fact, robbing somebody that's a part of this secret society, and he is not. He is in a lot of danger now. And so it's too late to put the stuff back, apparently. It's too late to stop the heist that happened. And so his handler is like his girl in the chair is like, you're gone. You're lost. Like, dude, go hide somewhere where nobody's ever going to find you. And so he decides the best place to go hide is the middle of nowhere childhood home that he had with his dad, because he hates his dad so much that nobody would ever assume he was going there. And you just get the most like wild story of these two, like, just kind of coming together. Like, we're probably gonna see him grow a lot as this goes on, but man, is he is a terrible person, and his dad's a terrible person, and you kind of just want to punch them all yourselves. And that works so well for the story they're trying to tell, because they are supposed to be this like odd couple of terrible people. I can honestly not wait to see where it does go, because I know that it's going to be a good story wherever it flows to. We had the return of Lenore with the Curse of Baba Yaga. This is from Titan Comics, and Lenore is, everybody's favorite little dead girl trying to just have a good life. And in this issue, she's going and she hears a whale talking to her, and she's like, oh, what's going on down there? And it turns out one of her friends has fallen down the well. And she's like, what happened? How did you get down there? And they're like, a bee pushed me down here. And they're like Lenore's like, a super bee? And they're like, no, just a regular bumblebee. I don't know what's up with that. But we got to get out of here before this bee comes back. Well, the bee comes back, and he's got insane super strength. And it is hilarious to watch them kind of all get beat up by this bee. And then they also find themselves cursed to be bees themselves, and Lenore kind of gets to experience what it would be like. It's adorable. It's full of hijinks. It's hilarious. If you have never read a Lenore book, this is actually an easy one to jump into, because it is a whole story right here in this one issue. So grab that little one shot. Ursula has joined the line of the Disney villains. This is issue 1 from Dynamite and the Disney imprint. If you, haven't read any of the other Disney ones, but this is your Disney villain, you should absolutely check this out, because this one is giving us a great story so far. We are actually learning about all of the witches in the same way that there is, the daughters of Triton, who are supposed to be the princesses and represent the 7 seas. In this, we learn that all of the 7 seas each have their own sea witch. And Ursula is, of course, the one that is in the Atlantic with Atlantica and, with Triton. And she finds out that her, one of her sisters in witchcraft, one of the other sea witches, has been attacked, and all of her power has been stolen. And she is like, we have to go to battle. We have to figure out how to save our sister. And so she goes to the eldest witch to figure out what exactly happened and how they can all stand to protect the other witches before it's too late. And you do get to see who is behind it, allegedly at least, and learn that Ursula is not the ultimate sea witch. And maybe we're going to see how that story could come to be where she could be. We've got The Peril of Brutal Dark, number 1 from Vertigo, and this is an Ezra Kane mystery. This is Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips from That Texas Blood back on a book together, which is really exciting to see. And giving us another little crime caper. This one takes place in, I just forgot, I was just on the page, 1941 in New York, but we are following a very Indiana Jones-esque kind of crime caper kind of story, because we are following Ezra Kane, who is a private detective who is called onto a mission by a museum who is like, hey, there was an artifact that you may have heard of that is the Anvil of Hephaestus, and it was basically during the war, they thought that Greece was going to get attacked and that the, people were coming after the all of the artifacts that they had there for all of this mystical power, and so they were sent here to America for protection. But it turns out that that Hephaestus's anvil has gone missing now, and we need to figure out like what has happened and where it's gone. Meanwhile, he's also hired by a friend of a friend, who's like a friend who has a friend who's in trouble. And so he's like, oh, I've got all of these missions and I'm going to have to handle them. And it is setting up for a big caper that is definitely going to be fun to see how all the paths intersect. We've got Murder Drones, issue 1 from Oni Press, and this is one of your big books this week, actually, and partially because of the really cool video game covers that it has, and such a cool little video game feel to the story. But this is all about a world where everybody is essentially a robot at this point, and they have come to the point where they're trying to get rid of some of the helper robots, so they've created these other robots whose job is just to go around and disassemble them. And so the helper robots have kind of gone into hiding to hide from the robots who are coming to attack them. But our main character is a teenage girl robot who, like, self-proclaims is full of a lot of angst and attitude and wants to get away from her dad. And one night when she goes out, she ends up making friends with a disassembly robot who has forgotten that that is what their role is and kind of has like a little bit of amnesia. And so they become friends only to have the disassembly robots come back that she was supposed to be working with. And everybody kind of ends up in a little bit of danger there. And we are going to see how that friendship and also that danger kind of plays out in this story as it builds. But it's definitely a great start to see where these little murder robots are going to end up being friends. We've got Maid Cafe, issue 1 from Keenspot. What's cool about this, and what made people really excited, is that Mark Spears not only did covers, but he did trading cards for them. I'm going to leave that in the plastic so it's safe. So you can actually, there's going to be 4 exclusive trading cards randomly bagged with the different covers. There was 4 covers that kind of had the different characters. This is actually an anime style book that reads Western, and it is on newsprint, and it smells so good. But this is all about a girl who is looking to find a way to like take care of herself. Like she's like, again, one of those girls where she's like, I have to have a couple different jobs. I can't afford my schooling and things like that. And so she gets a job at a maid cafe. She has a job at a maid cafe, and she's like, I kind of need another job. This job doesn't pay me very well, and also these people are terrible. She gets tired of the men kind of constantly just crossing the line on how they're allowed to treat her. She gets tired of her boss. She gets tired of the other people, and in it, like, she's thinking about possibly getting another job, but everybody just keeps telling her that she's too old and she's too fat because she's 20. And so she's too old to be there, and she's not fat at all, and she gets really tired of it. And the story starts with a news broadcast that talks about a maid at a maid cafe going crazy with a chainsaw. And, well, we're going to see exactly how we get there. I love her so much already, because literally every time somebody is like, well, you're fat, she's like, and she like loses it. She's like, oh my God. Like, and she's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at all of you. Like, and she just kind of keeps going crazy. I cannot wait to see what happens. But if you are a manga fan and you're looking to get into the way Western comics read, get that. And also, if you're a Mark Spears fan, you got your trading cards. It is a really cool collaboration experience for everybody, but definitely check it out. It was one of those, like I was like, this could also be a pick of the week almost, because it's such a cool story, and the fact that we are getting that manga-esque story in there. The Order of St. Sophia, issue 1 from Antarctic Press, and this is if you're a fan of Marian Heretic, this is a great next book for you to jump to. This is also about an order of women who are nuns, like nun adjacent essentially, and they are supposed to be the defenders of the church and the different things. And when they go out, if they're not supposed to leave any survivors who kind of see what the order is doing. And this one girl decides when she goes out that she's not going to kill a child who witnesses what she does. And that is all before the book even starts. And so she comes in and she's on trial essentially for not killing this child. And she's like, I wasn't going to do it. And because she chooses not to do it, they decide that they're going to shut down the Order of St. Sophia. And they come in and they kind of challenge all these women, and they basically tell them, like, you cannot fight anybody ever again. You have to turn in all your weapons. And it's really cool because we get to see who all the different members of the order are and how they each respond to that. And that is the setup for where this story is going. And I cannot wait to see where the story goes. It looks like it's going to be awesome. Again, if you're fans of Marian Heretic, you definitely want to check that out. We've got The Rocketeer, The Island, #1 from IDW. It's fun to have The Rocketeer back, but we are going like full public domain experience in this book, which is kind of fun in and of itself. So we open up at a time where he's kind of just getting started and kind of doing some of his fun tricks, and he meets a female pilot named Amelia Earhart, and he's like, wow, this is really cool. It's such an honor to meet you. Like, as somebody who wants to be a pilot, like, I've always thought you are like the hero of my life. And then we fast forward to the time where Amelia Earhart has gone missing, and he is called in by a friend who's like, hey, I've got a quest for you as the Rocketeer that you can go on. They want you to help find Amelia Earhart. And so it's really cool because then we get a little bit of our public domain experience, and that his squad that he's going to be traveling with, the team that he's working on, the man sailing the ship is Popeye the Sailor Man. He has the adventurer that will be helping him is Tintin. And we get to see where exactly that is taking them. And there's a couple other like fun little nods in there to different things, including the island that they're going to. Of course, Cliff finds himself, our Rocketeer finds himself stuck on a boat with Betty, who is dating somebody else because she's mad at him again. And so we know there's going to be drama between the two of them, and it does follow us on every page. All right. Oh my gosh, there's so many good books this week that like literally just like I could make the next like 6 books all the picks of the week. I don't have enough space on my shelf to do that, so let's just pretend like they are. And like we'll just talk about all of them as some of the best. Starting with The House of Lothar. This is from #1 from AMP Comics. The art style in this is so fun, but I'm also just excited because every time AMP brings us a different concept, it's so original and cool. And this one is no different. This is about a girl who is hired to be a maid in this house, and she's told by everybody that there's certain like weird rules and things that she needs to follow, and like to never like look the attendees, the residents of the house in the eye, and to just keep her head down and do her cleaning, and to hide like at all times. And while she's doing her cleaning one day, she notices that the residents of the house are not what she thought they were going to be, and that this is a world of completely different beings of sorts. And I don't really want to tell you what they are because I want you to see them. And now she's kind of at this point where they're like, well, like she kind of breaks all the rules, and they're like, well, you've passed your observation period. And she's like, am I fired because I broke the rules? And they're like, no, now we're actually going to tell you what's really going on here. And that's kind of the second half of the story, and it sets up, like you said, just another one of those AMP concepts where you're like, wow, like, what are you doing, AMP? You brought us another genre yet again, and I don't know what genre this actually will fall in, because we just get a little taste of what the story might be about, so I'm not even sure what the book is, and I'm really curious to see, like, is this going to be a horror? Is this going to be, like, a mystery? What is actually happening in the house? But I do love that we have, like, this classic animation style in this book that feels like it should be so much darker. And so what's going to happen is really curious. We've got Phantom of the Opera #1 from Image Skybound and our Universal Monsters imprint. I'm so excited. I have been waiting for this because the Phantom of the Opera is one of my absolute favorite Universal Monsters. The one that always gets missed as a member of the Universal Monsters lineup. So I'm so excited. And Tyler Boss is telling us really just the classic Phantom of the Opera story, like really going into what you expect from that. And so we are starting with Christine getting that role of having to become the lead of the opera, and Raul's actually the detective that's investigating the story, and so she's kind of like, I'm like trying to do her auditions and trying to do her rehearsals, that's the word I'm looking for, and really struggling. Like, the director just absolutely does not like the way Christine sings the songs, and so that's what leads her to having the mysterious visits from her angel of music. And if you are a Phantom fan, this definitely hits all of the right notes, pun most definitely intended, but also gives you a lot of the great eerie feelings. And I think Martin Simmons is kind of capturing some of that, like, where is this voice coming from and what is happening, like, in print, which is such an interesting way for us to see how that's going to play out, because how do you make stuff that carries through the night in comic format where we need to see things? And I'm really curious to see how they make that work. And then we've got The Muppets Noir #1 from Dynamite and the Disney Comics imprint. I am so excited. When they said they were making a Muppets Noir book, I was like, oh, that's going to be adorable and, you know, hilarious. And I'm sure it'll be great. It is in fact great. They nailed it in every aspect they needed to. They're nailing the noir. They're nailing like the Muppets. They're nailing all of the fun. Basically what happens in this is Kermit is extremely stressed out about trying to bring the Muppet Show back. And while he is taking a break to read a crime novel to get his mind off of all of the stress, he ends up getting knocked out and suddenly wakes up and finds himself living in the book world as Flip Minnow, the detective, the private eye that must solve the case of the missing debutante, the granddaughter of the pie, the woman who makes pies, like she is the pie empress, essentially. The young one has got, I think it might be it's her niece, actually, not her granddaughter, her niece, and her niece has gone missing after she got in a fight because she wanted to be a celebrity. And it's so cute because we get to see all the Muppets in different ways, but of course, he has crossed paths 1,000 times with the face that he is supposed to be looking for, and he cannot see it. It is absolutely adorable, hilarious, and just a good crime story too. I'm gonna take one more drink of Spyland before I do my final 3 books of the week. All right, if I could only fit 3 picks of the week, this would be the 3. And the first up is Ted Okay #1 from Mad Cave and Dave Chisholm on both art and story. I love this concept. I love how unique it is, and I love how crazy the art is. This is all about a woman who is hired by a company to just sit there and monitor people who work in this corporation. And this corporation is very strict. Like, there's announcements every day that are like, please do not talk to your co-workers. They just want to go home. Like, no interaction, no fraternization at all is allowed. And so her job is just to make sure that the mental state of the people stays solid as they force them to work all day and all night. And she's literally called like the big brother, a big brother department of the company. And she starts monitoring this guy named Ted, who she's just absolutely convinced is going to have some problems because of the way, like, he doesn't talk to anybody at all. He's constantly just lost in his own world, and he wakes up from these nightmares at night, and she can see all of these weird things he's doing, and she gets really nervous about him. And the thing that happens, and I'm not going to show you that, so we can go back to the front. The things that happen that lead her down this path of, like, there's something going on here, and the corporation isn't what we said it is, and what is going on truly with Ted and what is going on with this corporation. Like, it starts down a really big, like, mystery, and like a little bit sci-fi, a little bit just like, oh, corporations are evil, a little bit like what, the big brother of it all. Such an interesting way to tell this story, but I love the concept, and I love that it is so unique, and that Dave is doing some weird things with the art that's really gonna make a great story. And then, of course, it's here. Spirit of the Shadows issue 2 from Oni Press. I am probably just going to put every issue of this in my picks of the week because Nick Cagnetti's art is just so incredible. How do you not just fall in love with it? everywhere you go, and every page that you see. But our story that Daniel Ziegler is telling is all about a guy who finds himself alive, suddenly awake in the afterlife, and is told that he has essentially to figure out like why he's there, and to use the book of his life to figure that out and kind of find his way to the other side or wherever he must go. And this guy is like, I've got to figure out what happened, because I had this love of my life, and I want to get back to her. I can't be dead. I have to find my experience back to her. And as he's trying to figure that out, he loses his book, and all the pages get like wiped through all of the underworld. And so he's been trying to, with the help of a woman in the underworld, put it all back together again. And they slowly find these pieces, and he's seeing like the little bits of his life at a time. And he's like, oh, see, I had this beautiful woman, and I had this love. Meanwhile, we have now been following the sister of this woman on the top side on the earth, and we are finding out the story of this guy is not the same story that he is experiencing through this book that he's rereading and that we're seeing with him. So we have this extremely unreliable narrator coming our way, but also everything that we learned about him and his connection to the other people in issue 1 is kind of all turned on its side a little bit by her in this issue. And some of it isn't even said out loud. Some of it is just seen on like posters and background material that you see as you look through the art. And I love that this team has figured out a way to actually like fully embrace the whole medium to tell the story in such a beautiful way. If you didn't read issue 1, grab both of them now, and seriously, just fall in love with it. And then lastly, we've got issue 14 of Minor Arcana from Boom Studios. I am very excited about this issue, because this is I always say, like, I've been waiting for this story to hit the point where Jeff Lemire realizes that he's going to Jeff Lemire it and rip our hearts out, and we are starting to get there. And part of it, before I even tell you what it's about, is it really falls in this beginning section right here that we're looking at, because our main character talks about how our lives, like how everything kind of breaks into pieces, and how everything about us, like we feel like we can hold things together. We feel like we can put those fragments of our lives together to tell a whole story, and yet we can't. Sometimes we just cause those breaks to break even further, and the pieces are just a mess. And it's so well done. Like I literally read the first 2 pages and was like, yes, this is exactly where I've been waiting to go with this, and it's so well done. But if you don't know this story, this is about a woman who has a tumultuous relationship with her family life and her hometown, and so she's left only to have to come back because she finds out her mother is dying of cancer. Her mom is the town psychic, and so she has to take over her mom's job of being the tarot reader and the palm reader and everything in town. What she didn't expect, though, is that power is actually real for her, and she is suddenly finding herself seeing the other side, the not necessarily even the afterlife, but whatever mysterious forces are on the other side. And mysterious forces are definitely at play here. She's starting to be able to see people getting killed, things that are happening. But we get some big keys to how this story is going to shift as we get to the end of this. But the emotional plight of every single character kind of comes together, all these broken, fragmented pieces in this issue, and it is such a great story coming together. Well, thank you, sir. All right, we've got a couple of other books that are, still in stock this week that if you didn't check them out, you definitely should. We've got Exo Man of War issue 2 from Alien Books. Iron Man hit issue, 2 of the new series, Legacy number 682, with that cool Legacy cover. This came out last week. If you missed it, Deadly Hands of Kunlun. And this is a new series. I think it was a one-shot that you got to check out. The Inn 2099 issue 3, Black Panther Intergalactic issue 3, Inglorious X-Force issue 2, Psylocke Ninja hit issue 2, and look at that awesome cover with her and Elektra. We've got Rogue, her Shadows of Tomorrow series with issue 2, Wiccan, which is Road 3, Thor hits issue 7 as he's now immortal. We've got Sorcerer Supreme issue 3 with Scarlet Witch taking over that mantle. Spider-Man and Wolverine number 10. Punisher number 1 with one of our Hell's Kitchen variants. Predator is going after some bloodshed in issue 1 of that. Harley Quinn issue 59. Infernal Hulk issue 4. We've got the new Spider-Man Venom Death Spiral. This one I know a lot of people are really excited about. The wrap-up of Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla Volume 2 with issue 7. Justice League Unlimited issue 7, which is part of your DCKO. Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 9. Detective Comics issue 1106. We've got The Flash issue 30, also a DCKO tie-in. Absolute Green Lantern issue 11. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 17. And because it's big, I'm going to put all those down. We've got Batman the Second Night issue 3 for this second volume of that story, which is like an actual like 1940s like dark gritty Batman kind of story from that time period, which I know the first volume was very popular. And then we've got some trade paperbacks and graphic novels also in stock. Oh man, I'm not used to having hands. This is great. Thank you. Speaking of Jesse Lonergan, we have a new graphic novel from him called Faster in stock, which is a race book, which is probably fantastic looking in his design work. Small Favors, this is the definitive girly porno collection. So if you, this is collecting Eisner Award-winning illustrator Colleen Coover's scintillating tales in the soft cover for the first time. We've got volume 2 of the Massive Verse, which is going to collect Cal number 1, Radiant Red 1, Radiant Pink 1, and No One number 1. So that second wave of the Massive Verse books as they go into year 5. World Tree Volume 3. This is collecting issues 12 through 16. We've got All the Living. This is a graphic novel from Fantagraphics that is just looks like it's beautiful and emotional. She Speaks. This is women of Norse mythology in their own words, and it's also another like beautiful storybook kind of thing that you would absolutely need to add to your coffee table collection. We've got the new Brubaker Phillips with the Knives. This is part of that criminal world. Lost Boy is finally collected, so if you missed that one, this is all of the issues of the story of Peter Pan coming back in the very Alice Ever After kind of way. Doom Division, this is that whole series. Vincent van Gogh, Sadness Will Last Forever. It looks like such a sad book because Vincent van Gogh's life was. And I have wanted to see inside of it. Oh my gosh. Yes. Look at this. Look at this. Or maybe don't look at it because I don't want to share it with you because it looks so pretty. I cannot wait to pour through that and read that book because it looks absolutely gorgeous. Superman Unlimited. This is volume 1, so this is issues 1 through 6. The Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. This is a Source Point book that has been collected for the first time ever in trade paperback form, and it is all 64 chapters of the critically acclaimed story. And then Daredevil Cold Day in Hell is actually out in hardcover. So this is that whole miniseries, issues 1 through 3. It was very popular and hard to get. So if you missed it, you can get that story. That is, again, all the books we have for you. 2 weeks worth. We did it. We made it through. We'll be here, so we won't have to do 2 weeks again for hopefully a long time. So I know it's long when we do them all together, but if you are in the Bradenton area, again, please join us and hold up the flyer. Please join us this week for the Angola Comic Con, the launch of Destination Angola. Come out to Reflections of Manatee this Friday, March 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. And see that comic launch. Get to hear from the descendants of the Angola community about their experience learning about the fact that this was where their family came from, and get a free comic that's going to help you tell that story or hear that story. And then go to the Back to Angola Festival all that weekend, the 7th and 8th. It's at Manatee Mineral Springs Park. It's such a fun festival and a great way to do that. We will be here all this week having some fun talks about comics. Come check it out. We've still got some of those awesome new books coming in, so if you didn't get to come shop some of those old collection that we just put out, don't forget to stop in this week and do that. We will see you on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day, and if we don't see you then, we will see you here Sunday night to wind down your weekend. Have a good week, everybody, and happy reading. Bye!